Good morning to you. We begin this hour with breaking news out of Eastern Europe. Russia has cut off gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria as the economic fallout of the war in Ukraine takes a new turn.
Overnight, Russia's state-run energy giant Gazprom said it was turning off the taps on both countries because they refused to pay in rubles. The move has been described as blackmail by the president of the European Commission. On the ground this morning, multiple explosions were reported in 3 Russian provinces bordering Ukraine, including the city of Belgorod, where an ammunition depot caught on fire. Now, it's unclear what caused the blast, but a Ukrainian presidential aide called it, quote, karma. And Germany has announced it's going to supply Ukraine with heavy weapons for the first time. The move was praised by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin following a meeting with defense officials yesterday.
The briefings today laid out clearly why the coming weeks will be so crucial for Ukraine. So we've got to move at the speed of war. Now, I think it's significant that Germany announced that it was going to provide 50 Cheetah systems. I think those systems will provide real capability for Ukraine.
NBC News global correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us again this morning from Lviv. So, Raf, let's start with the news that Russian energy company Gazprom has now cut off gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria. How significant is this, and what's the reaction?
Joe, this is a big moment. This is Russia striking out at Europe and using energy as a weapon, something that is threatened to do for a long time and is now doing, albeit in a fairly minimal form at this point. Both the Polish and Bulgarian governments saying they can weather this storm. They were planning to wean themselves off of Russian energy in the medium term anyway. This is coming faster than they had planned, but they said they can do it. Joe, it's also a lot warmer now here in Eastern Europe than it was at the start of the war. So the demand for gas in Poland and Bulgaria not quite as high as it was. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, saying the European Union will rally behind these Eastern European members. I want to read you just a little bit of her statement. She said, Gazprom's announcement is another attempt by Russia to blackmail us with gas. We are prepared for this scenario. We are mapping out our coordinated EU response. Europeans can trust that we stand united and in solidarity with member states impacted. Now, Joe, the Russians could go a lot further with this. They could cut off oil and gas supplies to major economies like Germany. That would potentially plunge Europe's biggest economy into recession. But, Joe, it would also devastate the Russian economy. So not clear if that is a step Vladimir Putin's prepared to take at this point anyway.
Exactly. We know it's something that European countries are preparing for just in case. Raf, I want to ask you about what's happening on the battlefield this morning. There are reports of multiple explosions actually in 3 Russian provinces near the Ukrainian border. That includes the city of Belgorod. So what do we know right now about what happened?
So, Joe, once again this morning, mysterious fires and explosions inside Russia in these border regions. And the question is this just bad luck for the Russians, or is this Ukrainian activity inside Russia? We don't have an official answer to that at this point. We do know on April 1st, Ukrainian helicopters flying in the dead of night at low altitude did strike inside Belgorod, so it is highly possible that that is what's happened again overnight. A senior Ukrainian aide to President Zelensky being a little bit coy about this, but saying that sooner or later the debts will have to be repaid by the Russians in reference to what's happened in Belgorod. Russian state media is acknowledging there has been a fire, there have been explosions there, but as they have done in the past, they are not giving any cause for that explosion. Jeff?
And Raf, also in Russia yesterday, the UN Secretary General met with President Putin in Moscow. The situation in Mariupol dominated the agenda. Do we know, did anything meaningful come out of those talks?
Yeah, so, Joe, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres meeting Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin, sitting at the end of that very, very long table, that table back in action again. The Russian president telling him that he agreed in principle to the idea of the UN and the International Committee of the Red Cross going to Mariupol and escorting those Ukrainian fighters and civilians out of what remains of that steel plant. Now, remains to be seen whether what Putin promises in principle is delivered in practice. But this could potentially be a big moment because the Ukrainians have refused to come out of that steel plant so far out of fear that they would either be massacred or captured by Russian forces. But if there are international observers there, that might give them the confidence to come out. Now, Russia has reneged time and time again on agreements like this. But, Joe, there is a universe in which Putin might agree to this because he's eager to see those Ukrainian forces out of that steel plant so he can free up the troops who are besieging them and send them where he needs on this very long eastern front. Joe?
Raf Sanchez in Ukraine. Raf, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.